Welcome to the 75th episode of Overtime on Inferno, your weekly roundup of all the biggest stories in CSGO. Quicker than MSL could point out Elliot's botched ramp smoke. A quick reminder to rate and review us before the end of the video or podcast or whatever this is. I'm Logan. This is Aizyesque. Let's get into it.
I heard a lot of MSL saying I was unlucky there and that I had good aim, and that's all I took from it. I'm unlucky in ELO hell, have amazing aim, basically a pro player who's just held back by bad teammates and an inability to learn a ramp smoke. I don't play A. I hate playing A on Mirage. I don't know about you guys. It's possibly the least fun.
Yeah, no,
maybe not the least fun. It's possibly the hardest anchor spot on the entire game because not only is it a big site with two entrances that people love to just fucking lurk out palace randomly, but also, if you, like me, aren't particularly good at the game, I'm level 5. No shame in that.
I'm lower.
Russian level 5s on Mirage are not level 5. I promise you that. They walk out ramp, all of a sudden you are playing against your Kindar, Keycurt, and Buster.
You know,
it doesn't matter.
Eastern Europe level 5, then Russia, then like Western Europe level 5, and then like NA's like real down here.
It doesn't matter on Mirage though. Like everyone can aim on that. It's like you get, like, trust me. You put a Russian level 5 on Nuke, I will shit on them. Put a Russian level 5 on Overpass, I'll beat them. You put a Russian level 5 on Mirage, I'm playing A. I am not holding that site a single time the entire game. They will like walk out the most random point in the round. They will be like 5v5 and the Palace guy will just swing randomly and he'll just kill you no matter where you are. It's ridiculous. I'm not an A player. I can't smoke ramp. I'm not gonna. I've learned some utility since. I've learned a lot of useful utility since, but I haven't learned a ramp smoke because I don't play there. I play B because I watched an MSL video 5 years ago on how to play it. So
Here's the question: B anchor or do you play like B cat?
Oh, B anchor.
Okay, I play B cat. So
the thing is, if you play short, you actually have an impact on the round. If you play B anchor, you can just flame your teammates for losing sight, and you get to I quite enjoy retaking A. So B anchor is the perfect spot for me because you're always retaking A. Because as previously mentioned, it's fucking impossible to hold the site.
All right, let's get into actual content. Not that MSL's video wasn't content. Let's be very clear. It's definitely
he did the thumbnail face and everything.
The thumbnail face. Let's talk about ESL Challenger Rotterdam. You worked the event, which means you watched every single game with a large amount of analytical brain,
and sticks over the eyes to keep them open.
And I did nothing. So
yeah,
please, Outsiders won the event.
Yes, Outsiders looked pretty solid. I mean, they are, as ever, as any GM team is, fucking miserly. Like an absolutely miserable team to watch. And even more miserable when you're in production and you woke up at 6:30 and you just really want to go to sleep and they're taking 3 minutes of their 1 minute 45 every single round. Miserable team to watch, but also very good. And the fact that they're so miserable makes them so dangerous because people get bored. Like, doesn't matter how good you are at this game, after you've been sat still for a minute and nobody has peeked you, you get bored, you get curious, you want info, you push and you die because Outsiders are set up to wait for you to make those mistakes, and people consistently make mistakes, and they will punish you for it.
Remember in Counter-Strike when you used to queue up, it would say by clicking accept, you're confirming to a 90-minute game or something, and no player was ever like, yeah, this is gonna be a 90-minute game. It's like, nah, it's like 45 minutes. Like we're maybe 50 minutes most if we go 30 rounds. That's where Valve got the 90 minutes. They said, let's take at the time a Vanguard team, and that's our longest game possible, and that's where that's who's gonna be the our timer for you're committing to a game that could take this long. James could be on the other team.
A 90 round 2-1 in NA is shorter than a 16-6, 16-10, 2-0 from Outsiders. They are revolting. I hate them, but I like them, but I hate them so much all at once. The way they play is infuriating, and that's exactly what makes them so good. Because teams like Mouse and Ents, who aren't that well drilled. They have new players. Like they're going to make these errors individually because they don't have a really intense structure right now. As good as they are, and you can argue Mouse and Ents individually are better players than Outsiders. They aren't as well drilled, and they are going to make these mistakes. And Outsiders, I think, I've said it before, I think they probably are underrated firepower wise. Fame looked like a star player like at this event. He looked really good, and we all know how good Flit is by now. Norbert's a bit of a wild card. Like he can be really good, but I don't think he's being utilized to his full potential on this team because he could be a star on a worse team, but I don't think he's good enough to be a star on this team, and that's fine. But this team has Outsiders teams always have like insane firepower. Like Kika is probably their 5th best player. Do you know how insane that is? Kika was like when the Vanguard made the major final, he was like their 2nd best player.
Yeah.
He's now like firepower wise like 4th or 5th on this team. Like this team is stacked to the fucking roof.
Let's talk about Ents. They managed to make the finals. They do have 2 new-ish players. What, we're 3 months since the switch? 2 months? Something like that?
Yeah, it's not been long. I don't know how long, but it hasn't been long.
Reactions, feelings, etc.
Underwhelming. I think underwhelming is the phrase I'd use. They made the final, but they were pretty soundly beaten by Outsiders. And at no point did they really ever look like they were going to win.
Mm-hmm.
I think they played Eternal. They played Eternal Fire in the semi-final, so it's like you should be winning that, and they lost a map, albeit Vertigo. Eternal Fire are like really dangerous on Vertigo for some reason. They were just beating everyone on it. But yeah, Enter a little underwhelming. I don't know. It's going to take a little bit of time to get like Sun Pius and Valde into the system because the system has to change. Like,
you're switching out your offer.
I think it's pointless to use Sun Pius like you used Hades. So I think it will take a little bit of time. Maybe it will click. Maybe it won't. They didn't fill me with any major confidence in them. In fact, although Ents made the final, I'd say I thought Mouse looked more impressive than Ents at this event.
Yeah, it just got screwed over a little by the draw that they had to play.
Well, they both had to play Outsiders. Mouse had to play them earlier.
I'm in playoffs, right? Mouse has to play them earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
Earlier. If it was the other way around, I'd assume you'd think that Mouse makes the finals. Maybe puts up Mouse did put up a better fight than Ents did.
Yeah, I think Mouse, I would say, were more impressive than Ents at this event. But then Ents, when it mattered at the RMR, did go 3-0. So
yeah,
why not?
I want to talk about 2 teams that I want to talk about at least one team that we don't talk about very often. I don't think we've ever mentioned the name of Fluxo on this show, which is a weird team, and I want to bring it up because they're new. They're like 2 months old. They're owned by someone famous, I think. I want to say it's a Brazilian footballer.
No, I don't think they are, but most teams. I think you're thinking of Casey Esports.
No, I don't know. I'll continue while you Google.
By Nobru and Serol. No.
Okay, never mind. But this is a weird conglomerate of all of the extra players left in Brazil. And normally, I've said that about like 3 teams, but this really is. This is like Phelps, who was kicked from Godsent. This is Woody, who was on MIBR. It was VSM, who was on 00 Nation. Lukowski, who was on another team in Brazil. Sharks. Like it's
he's legit good. I think they had to buy Lukowski because he was like genuinely good.
I believe that he's good, right? Yeah, but it's just every play. It's just you took one player from every team. You took that last player kicked from every team in Brazil and said, "Let's put them together on one team."
Yeah, it kind of looks like that. But I think the more you look at it, the more this team, to me, actually is quite interesting. I mean, I'm really high on Lukowski. That guy is crap. Yeah. I've always been a bit of a Phelps fanboy. I do wonder if Phelps and Lukowski on the same team makes any sense because they're both pretty aggressive. VSM, we've seen in the past he can be a good player. Woody is pretty shit AWPer, but he's a pretty solid in-game leader. I mean, look at MIBR without him; they were fucking awful at the RMR. Yep. He can't AWP, but if he needs to do the reverse MSL, and instead of becoming an AWPing in-game leader, he needs to just stop being an AWPing in-game leader and just like just turn into Hooksy. Like you don't need to. You don't need to AWP on this team. Just give the AWP to like Lux or VSM or something. It's fine.
Not everyone needs to be Fallen. I know that in Brazil,
I know
it's like everyone wants to be Fallen, but like you don't have to be Fallen.
I can't remember if we said it on this podcast, but as much as Fallen made Brazilian Counter-Strike, he also has destroyed it by convincing like mediocre in-game leaders that they need to AWP to be any good.
I think that was
doesn't matter how like there were. The reason Fallen was so good is because what he does is so difficult. Like he was legitimately one of the best AWPers in the world whilst in-game leading.
That's being a good in-game leader, not being a shitty in-game leader.
Yes.
Being good at strategy and winning 2 majors in a row. And you don't do that by just having an okay in-game leader, right?
Yeah. Do you know, the only other person who's looked even remotely similar is Cadian. Or for one event, MSL.
I was gonna say for like one event, Carrigan, when Carrigan had the off for a little while.
Yeah, that's not horrible. But like, actually, yeah.
I don't even
then like Cadian in the online era was actually carrying as well. Like he was actually like near the top of the scoreboard in big games. Chris J, I mean, he had to give up the AWP as well because he was like, I can't AWP an in-game lead, but he was solid.
But like even with Cadian, like the Cadian comparison, and we're very off topic now. I don't think that Cadian ever reached the same peak as Fallen. And I know we were in the online era and there weren't majors, but I don't think that even if there was a major, that Cadian was as dominant as Fallen has ever been, right? I think without question he's the best.
It's not entirely unfair.
Op IGL, but because of that, he's ruined entire regions, ops and IGLs because they want to follow in his footsteps.
And they're only sort of now realizing, oh no, Fallen is like one of a kind. Like Fallen is special. Like you can't. We can't all be Fallen.
There's like one other player like Fallen who's an opping IGL, and it's Art, and he gave up the op.
Yeah. He had to give up the AWP because he's a lunatic. He had no choice. He's too much of a loon. He can't be given the AWP.
He takes the second AWP when it matters, and that's fine. If you want to be an opping IGL, take the second AWP. Don't be the guy that has to be the X Factor with the AWP. And Art found his own niche, right?
Glaive tried being a primary AWP, it didn't work.
Like, Art found his own niche, right? He's the guy. He's the aggressive guy now, right?
Yeah.
If you think of aggression in Counter-Strike, it's Yukindar and Art.
Yeah.
So,
and John G.
This is love John G. This is our PSA to Brazilian IGLs to stop opping.
Please stop. Yeah, just like especially Woody. Like you can't AWP. I'm sorry, bro. Like you're a genuinely good in-game leader. MIBR without you look rubbish. But like, please stop AWPing. I'm begging you. Somebody's got to tell him.
I want to talk about Team 1.
There's not a lot to say about Team 1.
This is the problem, is that there's not a lot to say because on paper this team is lovely to watch.
Yeah, I mean, like
on paper,
I love malbs, but somebody has to flash for him.
Malbs, TRK, Maluke,
like that's just got a flash for it. Like he's entry fragging on a team that doesn't throw flashbangs. Like, it almost doesn't matter how good his aim is because like he's just running in dry to like fucking Torsi. Like he's not gonna win. Like you're not gonna win a fight if you keep just like dry peeking Valde. Like it's just not gonna work. Like I don't care how good you are. Somebody's got to flash for him.
Yeah. Quick other notes on the other teams here. Eternal Fire finished 3rd place. I didn't watch any games, but I can tell you exactly how every game went. Xantaris had 1 million frags, and nobody else did anything.
Emor looked actually pretty solid. I'll say Emor had some pretty good games. Like Xantaris is always just a joy to watch. Like watching Xantaris is just so much fun. Like I don't understand how anyone could watch him and not like enjoy watching. Like he's great to watch. Mechanically, he's phenomenal. Like I'm convinced there are like 3 better mechanical players in the world than Xantaris. It's just like he's limited by language and by his style, but mechanically he is.
I wouldn't say language.
Like he's flawless. I don't think his English is great.
I think it's good, and I have a feeling it's good enough. I think it's more of residency.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's the Turkish
we'll go with like
passport,
nationality or something.
The Turkish passport itself, I think, is a.
But he's always wanted to play on Turkish teams as well, by the looks of things. Like,
and I think that is part of the nationality thing, is that playing with other Turkish players, you have to deal with what Turkey has.
Yeah, but
Movistar Rider.
mechanically he's flawless. Like some of the stuff he pulls off, he just like there are legendary players who couldn't do some of the things he does. Like
Yeah.
he's phenomenal.
Movistar Riders finished 5th, 6th.
They're just rubbish. They're
Yeah.
just dog shit now. Like without S1mp1e, they're just pointless. They don't look like beating anyone half decent. Martinez has like flashes of being good with the AWP, but it is just flashes, and the rest of the players aren't good enough to like deal with that. I have a feeling in 6 months' time, some players will be back on this team.
Nixa was the other 7th to 8th place team. You probably have never heard of them, but you've heard of Sonic, who's on their team, former Extra Salt player, who I believe is going to school at Davenport University like this upcoming semester.
I think he was. I don't know if he still is.
I think he was, and then there were visa issues, and so they pushed
Yeah.
it back, and I believe he's going to play for their team, which will just be a fun NA thing, but nothing more. I don't think we need to say anything more on that matter.
Nixa showed very little that was worth commenting on. They
Yep.
got blown out a couple times, and that was about it.
We had 2 contract deals done this week. The first is S1mp1e has a 3-year extension. I think if there's any player in the world that you give whatever extension that he wants, it's S1mp1e. Some people will say 3 years is too long, but also it's S1mp1e. So
so like it's always dangerous when you get into a mindset of, oh, he's the best player in the world, just give him what he wants. Because A, you don't know how long that's going to last for. B, you give him too much negotiation power. 3, you don't even know like if he tests, like if can anyone else afford to pay him what you're going to pay him anyway. And 4, 3 years is a long time. Like S1mp1e isn't old, so it's probably fine. Like as you say, if you're going to give it 21, a 23, 24-year-old S1mp1e,
that's your person.
A safer bet as you're ever going to get. But also like 3 years is a long time in esports. Like that really is a long time in esports, and you just don't know what people are going to look like in a year. Like people fall off really quickly in esports. I mean, how quickly did Xyp9x go from like, oh, the best support player in the world in inverted commas to, oh, he's just awful now?
I don't disagree. And I think that anyone but S1mp1e, I'd be saying the same things, but it's not because of S1mp1e and his play and how he will play out in the next 3 years. S1mp1e is the face of Na'Vi.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
It's
like,
the same
I don't
way
think
that
Na'Vi can afford to lose him in terms of brand value. Like, I'm just not sure they can afford to.
I think it's the same way as like Alige is for Team Liquid, right? Is that Alige is the face of Team Liquid, and they do what they can to keep Alige. To a degree, right? Or the way that Caps in League of Legends is the face of G2, right?
Yeah.
Like, or Faker is
Perks was, and they got rid of him. So
or the way that Faker is the face of T1. It doesn't matter if Faker is a shitty player now. He is the guy. So
I know exactly what I mean. Like
S1mp1e's the same way.
Value, S1mp1e is like Na'Vi can't.
For
Na'Vi is the best, as like the biggest org in the region, in the CIS region. Like can't afford to lose the best player to ever come out of the region and the best player in the world. Like you just can't. Like it just doesn't. You lose all of your like prestige if you do.
Na'Vi can go and give S1mp1e a 5-year contract that says you can play for 3 years and we'll redo a playing contract after, but you're with the organization for 5 years, and no one would bat an eye. Because like you or sign him a 10-year contract and like after 3 years move him to streamers, because the brand value of S1mp1e is just, it's priceless for Na'Vi. Honestly,
I don't know about priceless. There is a price on it.
There's obviously a price, but to me, the only reason why Na'Vi has gotten to the size in which it has gotten recently, maybe because of S1mp1e and Counter-Strike.
They were really big before with Guardian and Edward
they were,
and Flame. Their brand is being the best in the region, so like they have to. But all right, Hype. Do you remember a year ago when G2 signed m1e?
I do,
and I think I said in our Discord, if I'm Na'Vi, I think I would sign. No, I think I said if I was G2, I would sign m1e over S1mp1e if I had the choice.
Yes.
And I stand by that even now.
I agree.
I would have signed m1e over S1mp1e if I had the choice. And I like, as you say, for brand power, Na'Vi have to keep simple. But I do wonder if, from a business perspective, signing Monacy was actually like keeping Monacy would have actually been better than keeping simple.
I don't
I
think
don't know, but I
we
think it's closer than people think.
we start to get into a lot of business talk now, and neither of us are
Yeah.
qualified to talk about that. We're barely qualified to talk about what we do already. So,
Well, quite, yeah. Yeah, no, I think like once you've committed to selling Monacy and keeping simple, you have to just keep him for as long as possible. Because otherwise, you lose both Monacy and simple, and you're left with like what fucking
yeah.
somebody like you sign Jame or something. Like, what's the point?
I jumping into a Riot game again. I legitimately think that the reason that Navi got their Valorant spot is because of Simple and Counter Strike, because they used to
Maybe, I
be
don't
they
know.
used to be this
They were the
Dota
biggest org in the region anyway. Like even before that, like
very quick tangent. Obviously, they didn't give spots to the biggest orgs in every region. Otherwise,
well,
so
fine, but
not the point. We will continue on. The other contract move that happened this week is we got news late last week that Yekindar bought himself out of his contract at VP over like a 2-month period or something. It happened, and that yesterday morning we got confirmation that Liquid has signed Yekindar.
he must be getting the bag because he was willing to pay money to get out of one contract to move to another. He must be getting paid a fucking fortune.
Yeah.
He must be getting the bag.
Judging by numbers that we have heard for other players,
Yeah.
that Liquid have
Well,
looked
if
at,
if EG in the same region are spending 40 grand a month on Breezy,
yeah, and we've heard different numbers for like when Liquid was looking at Rops and stuff, and it's just like
I think he'll be getting Breezy money. Let's put it that way. He'll be getting the bag.
yeah, the bag is secured for Yekindar, and plus Yekindar said
Can you
this on
imagine,
Twitter. And
can you imagine if you come up from Latvia and all of a sudden somebody offers you 40 grand a month? Like,
yeah,
do you know you could live like a king if that was your salary for a year in Latvia?
yeah,
Like his family will be like just like so set. Like if when he goes back home, he'll be like his family will be so comfortable. I mean that you can't turn that down if you're him.
I think the average salary in the United States is like $55,000.
Fucking hell.
But so he's basically making a person's average salary every month and a week.
Yeah. It might be every month for a week though.
Yeah, we don't know the exact number.
He'll be getting a bag.
But from everything that we've heard from everyone involved, including Yekindar himself, that this kind of was happening, that Yekindar has liked his time on Team Liquid and all of the stuff around it. And that it's been a get him out of the contract because Liquid can't send money to VP.
Yeah. He's probably just happy to like be on a team where everyone else is as short as he is.
Yeah, really. You watched the video. I don't know if you actually watched the reveal video.
I didn't.
But Nitro goes to, like, there's like a security guard that's like, no, only Team Liquid allowed. And Nitro comes up to the security guard and puts his hand on the security guard's shoulder and goes, he's with us. And it's Yekindar walking in. And you see Yekindar and Nitro walking next to each other. And Yekindar is like half a head taller than Nitro.
Yeah, it's weird. The whole team is tiny.
All right. I got 2 more things on the agenda. One, we got to talk about Sprout and Astralis.
Because this is just great.
This is just too funny. Last week, there was rumors that Sprout wanted to look at Stare.
Astralis wanted to look at Stare.
Sorry, Astralis wanted to look at Stare, who plays for Sprout, and they publicishly, or at least through some sort of channels, basically said, "Hey, we'd like to trade you Farley for Stare." Now,
I assume it was Farley plus money.
I'd assume it was Farley plus money, but still.
But that still isn't worth it because then Sprout would have to replace another player who they should probably be replacing anyway. That's a different matter entirely.
Yeah. So, do you know what the exact line was? I'm Googling.
It was no thanks.
That
was Sprout's official comment was
no thanks.
No thanks. Amazing comment. Nah, you're right, honestly. Yeah, I really fancy it.
No, it was literally just the manager replied to a 1xBet tweet that was like, hey, this could be happening. The manager just replied, no thanks, but we are searching for a betting sponsor.
Amazing. What a guy.
Absolutely.
like I'm assuming you saw there's like the old, because there was some female Counter-Strike player who was asked for a comment on their teammate cheating or something, and she just said
Yeah.
IDK actually.
Yes.
That was good. And then somebody brought up an old one where a guy was cut from Ocean's team, and his response, his official comment on it was Pepe hands Keck W.
Yep.
Amazing.
I love NA.
I love esports.
That female player, NA.
Yeah.
EG's female.
Was it? I don't remember. I assume it was, because I think it was on Dust 2.us,
No,
but I didn't
it was
actually see any of the context. I just saw IDK.
it was
actually.
EG's female team like 2 weeks ago. She was accused of cheating, and like apparently her ESEA account is like flagged for cheating or some shit. I don't know what came out of it. I haven't followed it, but yeah, no, her teammate just replied IDK actually, or she did.
Yeah.
Either
Amazing.
way, hilarious. Last bit of the day is Fall Showdown. This is the tournament that pits 8 teams against each other for one spot to get into a tournament to probably lose to Na'Vi.
Or someone of that ilk.
Or someone with that ilk. Unless you're Vitality, which for some reason you're in this event because you used to be bad and now you could actually get through. Basically,
they lost a map. Oh no, they didn't lose. They nearly lost a map to Tyloo,
so
which is probably about as close as anyone's gonna come.
Yep. So Blast Premier, single elim bracket, 8 teams. We have a Europe one and an NA one. All games are played online except for the Vitality Tyloo match, which is very technically played online, but they happen to be playing from the same boot camp facility, so they're like 20 feet away from each other.
They can high five the opposition after winning a round.
Yeah. Well, no, they can.
So,
they can do
they
can go do handshakes after.
Yeah, amazing.
So in Europe, it's Vitality and Tyloo. Vitality are literally 1 round right now away from 2-0ing Tyloo, so expect that to happen. Astralis, Eternal Fire, Big Sangal, and Heroic Ecstatic. 1 spot only in this, and there's
You'd imagine it's Vitality.
I was gonna say there's 2 teams who are legitimately possible for this spot. It's Vitality and Heroic, and they're on the other side.
I would say Big are a possibility. It's an online qualifier.
That's a good point. This is an online event.
So, like, you know,
well,
Searson might actually
hold on. It's an online event, though. Heroic might do well.
Yeah, Big Heroic.
They're in the same side of the bracket.
Chance.
It's going to be the onliners versus Vitality, because I don't think either of us see Eternal Fire getting out or Astralis getting out.
No, I'd say Eternal Fire got more chance than Astralis at this moment in time.
Say right now, yeah. So watch for Vitality to play, I guess. I don't know. There's not much fun that's going to happen in here.
Like, Blast format is so fucking weird. Like, I just don't. It's like I lose track, and then I like kind of lose interest for a bit until like the big events.
Well, there's more interesting stuff in North America, and there's a reason why I say that is because we get to see EG again.
Which one?
The normal EG, who looked good at the RMR.
Yeah,
and like 3-0'd, and they're playing against American teams again, which means they actually may win.
Yeah, they might.
It's weird.
Nouns beat Team 1 as well, 2-0. I think I saw that. That might have been something else.
That's a different thing. Nouns is not here. Yeah, Nouns is not here. But
they beat him in something.
Teams here are Complexity Sharks, which I'll play later today, again, as per usual, Wednesday as we're recording. MIBR Team 1, EG plays Fluxo, and 00 Nation plays against Vertex, which is a team.
Vertex is the
is an ANZ team. Yes, they have.
I guess it's no different to Tyloo being in the EU one. So
yeah, we don't question things. I think they probably just took 2 Asian teams and just shoved them in there and said,
"Yeah, they were like, Australia. That's basically the US."
Yep. I mean, Riot and Valve both agree on that right now. Riot and Blast both agree. Exactly. So Complexity should be getting to the finals here with relative ease. EG and 00 Nation semifinal on Saturday should be exciting.
That's a low key banger. That
that's a little bit of a banger right there. Winner faces almost certainly Complexity on Sunday. Could be a little bit of a fun tournament.
I'd like to say MIBR, but MIBR looked horrible at the RMR, like really bad.
So yeah, get to see EG play. We'll see if EG is able to actually keep up their good run at the RMR, or if that was just kind of a fluke. I think that's the biggest question coming out of actually either of these, right? Is EG's current form real, or was it just if
Was
we
it
don't
just
make
a
the major,
flash in the
Breezy,
pan?
well, no, is it the if we don't make the major, Breezy and Cirque are going away for a long time?
I'm pretty
So
sure they've already signed an extension.
no, I
But
think
it hasn't been publicly announced, but I'm pretty sure they have.
I'd be willing to bet they probably have as well.
For some reason.
Yeah. All right. I think, assuming nothing new has come out on HLTV in the last 5 minutes, which honestly,
It will do as soon as we stop
it will
recording.
do as soon as we actually stop recording. Oh, Vitality officially won. That's not news, but I mean,
Yeah. It's news enough.
Yep. So that's going to be it from us here today. Make sure to rate and review us. It is now the end of the episode. Follow us on Twitter at Mechatronic, at Aizyesque, and at ReadTLDR.
You still haven't got used to
Nope,
having
haven't
to
gotten
change
used to
that, have you?
Nope. We will see you again next week. We're going to start our major preview stuff. I think
Yeah,
next week
it's
is the
12
official.
days until the major.
Yeah, major starts on Monday the 31st, I believe.
Something like that.
Something there in that ballpark. So we'll start our major coverage next week. We'll do a little bit of a preview for the Challenger stage. There's a lot of bangers in there, so we'll see how that gets going. But for now, we will see you all.
Hell yeah.